Hello and welcome to the live stream. Whether you are joining live with me now, thanks for being here, or if you're catching us on the replay. So should you start two or multiple YouTube channels at the same time? What are the implications of this? What does it mean? What are the pros and cons? I'm talking about that in today's live stream. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Nguyen, and I help you grow your business using video on social media with ease. Now, make sure that you check out the links in the description because I'll go back and put all the timestamps and all of the resources to everything that I mentioned will always be in the description. So let's get right into this. This is an interesting one because I understand how tempting it is to want to start multiple YouTube channels at the same time. Say you are in the, for demonstration purposes, health niche and you want to start a fitness YouTube channel. But on the other hand, you're also you've got interest in photography and you're like, these are two kind of really different niches, and if you put it all on one channel, it feels like it's just not going to get that cut through. So should you start two channels at the same time? What does it mean? What are the implications of this? Let's talk about this because I get this question a lot and I've got a lot to say about it as well. So let's have a look here. Let's get into it. I'm really feeling that, this one is one that people struggle with a lot. So this is you, okay? So you are this amazing person here and you are at a point where you're like, should I go down the path of here and go down one YouTube channel path? Let's just say this is fitness, my horrible writing, or should I go down this path and do another niche, another unrelated niche? Let's go back to what I said before. Let's say that you want to do photography. So you've got two, very different categories. And you're kind of at the point where you're like, do I do both? What does it mean? What are the implications? Now, the benefit of having two channels is that, yes, you do have content that is very refined for each channel. So if you had one channel where you did a bit of fitness, a bit of photography, a bit of sewing, a bit of crochet, it's kind of all over the place and people don't quite understand what your channel is about. But if you had one solid focus channel on fitness and one solid focus channel on photography, then these audiences are quite different and it will allow you to kind of get more cut through. But there is always a but to this. It really is challenging because of a couple of things. I am a firm believer, and I've said this multiple times on many videos, that if you want to make a livable income from the effort that you put on YouTube, you cannot rely on Google AdSense alone. You need to diversify your income. And the reason is that if you are relying solely on the YouTube Partner Program and AdSense revenue, it is so fickle. It is so unpredictable. It's like having a psychotic boss who decides to pay you one amount one month, which is okay, and the next month it may halve. And you're like, well, I haven't really done anything different, but it's just the way it is. And it's up and down and there's nothing you can really do about it. You can continue to create content, you continue to be consistent, but the money that comes in is not predictable for the most part. And I always advise people to create multiple income streams. Now, in order to make a livable income from YouTube, when I work with clients, from all of the channels that I study where people are actually profitable on YouTube, there are 5 things that they have in place, right? So they have one key audience. They have one key product or service that they sell. This is another thing that people argue with me a lot about. So they say, if I have 10 products that are really, at an affordable price point, won't I make more money? And in my view, I find that no, that's not, because it splits your focus. But we'll get to that in a minute. The other thing that they have is one conversion tool, right? So one tool that helps them sell the signature product. So whether that is a coaching program that you have, whether this is a course, an online course, a digital course that you have, whatever it is, they have one conversion tool that they can focus on, that they can drive traffic to in order to sell more of. The 4th thing that they have is they have a system in place for their YouTube videos. big thing. If you want to make a livable income from YouTube, you can't just be flying by the seat of your pants. You need to have a system for producing your videos. And this is the whole end-to-end process of developing the content, producing the content, because people forget that it's not just creating it. Like, you need to edit it, whether you do it yourself or you hire it out to an editor. And that requires a system. That requires you to be organized to some degree in order to produce great videos. And the other thing that you need to do is you need to have, as a fifth pillar, time, because you need to do it sometime. You need to make all of this stuff happen, both, creating your videos, both working on the product that you want to sell, both working on converting more people from YouTube. You need to have time, and you need to have focused time. So in my view, people who do really well on YouTube, they have these 5 things in place. They have one audience that they focus on, where they sell the product to. They have a mechanism, a sales mechanism, which they can convert them to. And by sales mechanism, this can either mean once people see them on YouTube, they take them off YouTube and they go into either a sales call, or they go into a webinar, or they go into an email funnel, whatever that conversion tool is. They've got one. Right? Focused. They've got a system for their YouTube channels, which drives them traffic, and they're focused with the time. Now, what happens when you have 2 channels is you've got all of these 5 pillars, which I just talked about, right? What happens when you decide to have another channel is you end up splitting your time. That's the big one. You end up splitting your time, because now when you have 2 channels, you've got 2 audiences, you've got ideally 2 products that you need to sell and create. It's a lot of work, sounding like a lot of work already to me. You need ideally 2 conversion tools. So if you're doing sales calls for fitness clients, on channel 1, you're going to need some form to convert the photography viewers into the photography product that you've got, right? You need another conversion tool. You need a lot more videos. You need videos for the fitness channel. You need videos for the photography channel. But the thing that you don't have necessarily more of, or most people don't, is this time factor, right? So you really end up splitting your time. And what do I mean by that? So when I talk about splitting your time, let's just say that you've got, and this is like dream world for most people, 20 hours a week to work on your YouTube videos, everything. It's just either whether you do this part-time, whether you do it as a side hustle, but you magically have the dream goal of at least 20 hours to produce your videos. And you've got one channel where, you're focusing everything on. When you add a second channel, this 20 hours ends up being split, right? So you then got less time because you're splitting it across the 2 audiences, 2 products, 2 conversion tools, and 2 batches of videos that you need to do. And then I get people argue with me, but I have more time. I've either left, the projects and the work that I was on, and now I have 40 hours. And my argument there is, instead of saying, okay, I've got more time, therefore I'm going to split it into 2 channels, I would rather see you spend that additional time that you have on the one channel so that you can produce more videos in that niche that will see you grow faster, so that you can focus more on the single product that you're trying to sell. Remember, we need to stay focused, and then you can focus more on that conversion tool. So how you're bringing people in and getting them to actually buy the products or services that you have to sell in a non-sleazy way. So you end up splitting your time. And this is the biggest thing that people don't realize when they start 2 channels. It's like, it's not just, the camera's on and I'll record another one anyway. It's like, no, there's a knock-on effect here. In order for you to make this worthwhile, all of these pillars need to kind of play nicely. The other thing that you end up focusing, the other thing that you end up splitting is your focus, right? And you split your focus because you've now got 2 products to work on. You've got 2 YouTube video systems to work on. You've got 2 tools to work on, and you've got 2 audiences to work on. So you've got a lot of stuff that you need to do because you've got creative ideas everywhere, and the desire to be in 2 different niches and 2 different categories for 2 different channels. And, the reality is that the studies have shown that when you're context switching and you're multitasking, you actually get less done. you actually get less done. So there are multiple studies. They've done a lot for education in terms of, educating kids. But the studies have shown that when you do multitasking and you're trying to do multiple things at the same time, your output is actually less, for one, so you don't actually get more done. And the second thing is you're actually more prone to making mistakes. So you're actually more prone to, getting things wrong. So the reality is that you may think that starting 2 channels lets you have the creative, scratch that creative itch because one niche may be more exciting than the other. But I really want you to think about, if you're not that excited about a niche that you're starting a channel about, maybe you don't need to start that niche. Maybe you need to focus on the other one that you're excited about, that you feel that you need to bring in to scratch that itch. So maybe you should ditch one and just focus on the other one instead. And the reality is, if you really are serious about using YouTube to make money, using YouTube to generate more income for you, you can't rely on AdSense alone. People think that if I have 2 channels, I'll put 2 loads of videos on YouTube, I'm going to make more money, but that's not how it really works. You end up splitting all your time and focus. You actually end up making less, you get really overwhelmed, you get really disappointed, and you probably end up ditching YouTube at the end of the day. In order to really make an income from YouTube, I really have seen, and I really believe, that there needs to be a focus, right? You need to be focused. And going after multiple niches is an example of someone who's not focused, because to make an income from YouTube, you need to have your own products. You can't rely on AdSense alone, and you need time to sell those products, right? So you need to create your own products. You need to have a way of selling that product. It's not good enough to say, hey, I'm going to have 2 channels, I'm going to create 2 products, but then it's like, how do you convert them? Just because you have a product to sell for that niche doesn't mean that they're actually just going to automatically buy it. You need to put the steps in place that takes them from YouTube into that actual conversion mechanism, that actual sales mechanism. And you need to work on optimizing that system. As I said, just because you've got a product doesn't mean that it will sell. You need to be, working on converting it, whatever that process looks like for you, whether you're refining your sales calls, whether you're refining your webinar, whether you're refining your traffic sources and the content. You need focus. And it's really important to really understand that splitting your energy doesn't double your income. I have to keep saying this because I see people say, I'm just going to create more products and I'll make more money. It's like, no, why don't you focus on the one product, improving the conversion of that, as opposed to thinking that you need to create another one. And the other thing is, by starting 2 channels and splitting your focus, it doesn't mean that you will get results faster. It will actually take you longer for you to grow and get to where you actually want to be. And I kind of liken it to being a pilot and having 2 planes that you're trying to get off, the runway, right? So you start kind of in the middle here, and then you go to the first plane, right? And then you make a little bit of momentum, and the plane's here. But then you've got to get out, you've got to go back, and you've got to go to this other plane, right? So you've got to go here, then you've got to take this plane up here, right? And then you've got to go back to this plane, right? And then you've got to go over here. Then you see what I mean? It doesn't necessarily allow you to go that straight path because you're stopping and you're going back to the other channel and you're getting distracted and you've got to do work there, and it doesn't work out the way that people necessarily think that it actually will. So if you really are thinking about having 2 channels, despite everything that I've said in this video today, because I know that happens, here's my advice to you. I would really recommend that you start with 1 channel first. 1 channel, 1 focused area. Get everything, all your ducks in a row, right? So get the channel up and running, get the products or services that you want to sell to that audience up and running, grow your YouTube audience, focus and optimize it. So focus on growing the channel, focus on getting consistent income, getting consistent growth on YouTube. And when you see that all of this is kind of humming along nicely, then you start a second channel. I see with big creators who create a second channel, that this is a path that they go through. They don't out of the gate necessarily say, I'm going to start 2 channels in 2 different categories. They always start one, they grow it, to a decent size, and then they're able to leverage the growth of that channel to support the second one. So that allows you to truly have growth. So if you really want to have 2 channels, this is a path that I would recommend that you take, as opposed to trying to do both at the same time. Otherwise, you end up here. You end up, going back and forth between these 2 channels and not actually making a lot of progress. So that basically wraps us up today. So I want to have a quick reminder that with YouTube, there's a lot of work. People underestimate how much work there is in YouTube in order to make it work for you. So you really want to keep things as simple as possible and get the foundation going first. So hopefully that makes all the sense today. I'm going to quickly go over and check out the questions. So David says, what about when your channel doesn't sell products? This is a good question, right? So I really believe that if your goal is to be a full-time independent, no longer working, just relying on YouTube, AdSense alone is going to be really hard to sustain you, and AdSense is going to be very stressful because it's so unpredictable. And you may see big channels like Phil DeFranco, Casey Neistat, but the reality is they also have multiple income streams as well. So they don't just rely on YouTube AdSense alone. And they've talked about multiple times how AdSense didn't really start kicking in and being actually something decent for them for years. So I would really highly suggest that you look to start creating your own products. And, these can be a range of things. And it's easier today to create products than it ever was before. And I'm not necessarily saying go and get an engineering team and design like products like Apple does. Products can be services, right? So you can do coaching, you can do programs, you can do a whole range of creative things. So I would highly recommend you look at products as well. So Pete John says, I've so far resisted the urge to create a second channel. Only now that I have a full-time income from one, am I in a position to consider it seriously? So this is from the horse's mouth itself. So Pete John from Studio Live today, fantastic channel, great growth, big size, and it's tempting. It's so tempting because you're like, look, I'm so sick of creating content in this one area only. I want to do it in another, but that will split your focus. And so Pete is another example of, do as I say, listen to me. Trust me, I'm not trying to lead you down the wrong path. So I'm really excited for Pete because he's full-time on YouTube now, and it's only after being full-time, it's only after having all of his systems in place that he's considering another one. The temptation's always there, right? So I understand the temptation. Temptation is always there to start a channel and for other reasons as well. So I'm really, really glad that, people are doing something. So that basically wraps us up for today's live stream. So thank you to everyone who joined the live stream today. Great to have you guys here. Now, if you found this video useful, please give me a like, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't before, where I do lots more tips and tutorials on training to help you grow your business using video on YouTube with live streaming, and we have a lot of fun as well. Now, if you haven't got it already, make sure you also grab a copy of my YouTube blueprint. So I show you how to go from stuck and overwhelmed to thriving and profitable on YouTube. So the link to that will be on the screen and in the description. Had a blast. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.